I want you to imagine for a moment that this pandemic is over. So we've moved beyond this pandemic. I want you to imagine now life has gone back to normal and you are reflecting upon all the things that occurred to you during this pandemic. So I want you to think now in a different mindset. This stressful situation, this worldwide chaos is now behind you, and you are reflective upon what you accomplished. And one of the things that you had to endure during this time was a very unique Ramadan. How did that Ramadan go? Now, let's pause here for a moment. What makes some of the great achievements in our history so great? What makes the Battle of Badr so great? What makes the achievements of Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu so great? What makes the achievements of the Muhajirun so great was that they achieved what they achieved under huge odds. Through unsurmountable odds, they were able to become victorious. So, for example, would the Battle of Badr have such a huge impact on the people who study the Battle of Badr or who come to know about the Battle of Badr if the odds were even, or if the Muslims had greater number than the Mushrikeen? Would the historians study the achievements of Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu if he did not overcome such huge armies and world superpowers with less resources, less men, less materials, under all these great odds that he had to face? What made those achievements so great were the challenges, the problems that they had to endure to achieve their goal. Now, this Ramadan can pass, and these moments that we are isolated can pass, and you won't really have much stories to share. You can say that, we had to just isolate ourselves. We ran low on toilet paper for a brief period of time. There was some uncertainty and whatnot. So you might now think about the stories that you would share of the Ramadan that you had to practice, or the Ramadan that you experienced during this pandemic. And then you say, you know what, it was very uneventful. We weren't able to go to the masjid, so we didn't pray as much. We didn't end up finishing the Quran because no one read the Quran for us. So this is one experience that you can have. Another experience you can have is that there was a worldwide pandemic, unprecedented in our generation, and perhaps what nobody has experienced worldwide in 100 years. And that was the best Ramadan that I ever experienced. It was the best Ramadan because of the challenge that we faced. And it was the most memorable Ramadan. And it was the one that I connected the most with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I never felt closer to my Rabb than I did during the Ramadan, during the pandemic. I never felt more grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than I did when I was practicing Ramadan during the pandemic. Because, my dear brothers and sisters, we need to appreciate that the whole point of Ramadan is that we develop this taqwa. It's not fasting just alone. That's it, fasting, because a lot of times we regulate the month of Ramadan, we regulate our acts of worship as just we're marking off this checklist. Okay, I fasted during the month of Ramadan. Okay, I prayed Tarawih. I finished the Quran. And you just keep checking off all these different items on this list. And maybe you didn't change your character, you didn't change your behavior, you didn't change your mindset more than a temporal time during that month of Ramadan. But what we should appreciate is beyond that, if the purpose of Ramadan is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that we become more God conscious, we become more connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then wouldn't this pandemic be an added elevation for us to reach that level of taqwa? Wouldn't that be it could be a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I've never been elevated to a state of taqwa as I did during this worldwide pandemic, where you have so many millions of people in the world. And we're going to talk to inshallah, our guest coming up, and he's going to share some of this, how people are turning to search for their purpose. They're yearning to search for their purpose. They're yearning to connect with their Lord and to get some type of clarity in these times. And if we appreciate that, if one of the main ingredients that we want to accomplish, one of the main objectives is for us to gain taqwa, then there may be no other time better than this to achieve that. When we are practicing Ramadan, which will within a week we will be within the month. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tells us that he would save us from harm in any way if وَإِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا. So if we are steadfast and patient and we have taqwa. Now, what other better opportunity than this pandemic, where we have to exhort a tremendous amount of patience, we have to be significantly steadfast, and we have the ability now through Saum and Salah and Qiyam and reading Quran to attain a greater level of taqwa. So this Ramadan, we can look back at it as being one of the most memorable and beneficial Ramadan of our life, if we change ourselves and we appreciate the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us.
Do I feel that the New York police are providing enough protection, or do I have to have protection of my own? I look for protection from Allah.